There we go. Hello. So this was really impromptu. I woke up this morning and I'd had a huge spot open up in my day, which never really happens. So I was kind of sitting with what to do. And I do have a million and one things on my list, but this webinar popped in my head. So, okay, great. I've got questions rolling in already. Awesome. Yeah, so I just decided to roll with it and put it up, and so here I am. So one, this can be a space where you can ask any questions because your questions are probably what everyone else is asking as well. And two, I've been kind of talking about clinic and being a practitioner and running a business for, I get really passionate about it. So look, the yin of business for me is about the flow of things. I think we've kind of gotten caught up in what a lot of coaches are saying out in the world, and I'm seeing a trend, and I'm going to be really open and honest with my feelings here. So whether you resonate with it or not, and please, I'm not attacking anyone or anything like that, but there seems to be this group out there who are business coaches who haven't really got any experience or much experience running a practice or business themselves. So they seem to, grab a program from somebody else and do the coaching and then try and bring that out. And so, the things that you'll tend to see there are these really structured things that should make business work, right? Which is your, you get your avatar, and then you get your signature program, and then you do your Facebook ads and your Instagram ads and all that kind of stuff. So it's, and there's, and this is a good question I've just had it pop up as well. It's like the pricing thing as well, and charge what you're worth, and there just seems to be a lot of rah-rah out there in the world of practitioner. And I think we have to be really careful, because natural therapies is an industry which can go either way, right? We've got the people who've completely disconnected from the system and who are doing very much their own thing, and that's absolutely fine. But you've also, like, I kind of lie in between. So I have really good relationships with GPs and psychologists and OTs and physios, and I really love that base, and I love being a qualified, respected practitioner in the world, and the way that I approach my clients is very much of not just me doing a treatment. I'm part of their healthcare, right? And this is on the mental health care team, this is on the physical health care team. So it's, I think there's a lot of value. That I think this is a lot of the reason why we became practitioners in the first place, right? Is because we wanted to provide proper space for people. And it's really only confidence that gets in your way there. So there's kind of that. So there's being a practitioner and being a really fully fledged, grounded, respected practitioner in the world, and then trying to merge that into everything that you're seeing with the rah-rah, do all the right things and systems in place. It can be really, really confusing, right? How do we merge the two? And there's actually not a lot of help out. There's not a lot of really grounded full-time practitioners out there. It's just, it sucks. Like, and I really want to start changing this for people. So I think, again, part of it is all the normal stuff, like building up a client base, how do I market myself, and then finding your own flow with it. And then also trusting yourself and the confidence side of things, and and learning when to say no to that next program. And at the end of this, I'm going to sell you a program. No, but really, I have a real passion for just breaking through all of the bullshit. So I've got a couple of questions that are popping up. So I'm going to run straight into that. And again, for me, the yin of business is really just about trusting your own flow and trusting your own guidance with it. We've all been guided here, right? And no matter how much you've tried to say no or found it hard and gone back and forth with it, there's something in all of us that keeps calling you. So really simple business advice. What are good ways to build up a new client base? And again, there's so much advice out here for you, for people, and the best way is relationships, right? We're a practitioner. We're a qualified practitioner delivering proper healthcare to people. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you've got a diploma, you've got a degree, maybe even higher. And so you have to trust in that knowledge and that wisdom and that practitioner mode. And so the new client base, look, the best advice I can give you is referrals. Grab a coffee, find connection with other healthcare practitioners in your area, and start with that. And also, you can do connecting with other business people in the area. So this is also really good because it puts you in that position, and that energetic position of, I'm a practitioner. This is what I do. So rather than just talking to a screen all day, it's people get to know you. And I'm a kinesiologist, and not all of you are, but I'm a kinesiologist, and people don't know what kinesiology is, right? And I it's different for everyone. That's the truth of kinesiology. It is different for each person that you see. So sometimes I'm working really physically, and then sometimes I'm working really energetically. So people don't come to me because I'm a kinesiologist. They come to me because I'm Emma, right? So I had to learn that. And that's really, I think that's a really good point, is that, again, we've got this whole pressure of people pulling out business names and naming their business and all that kind of stuff. And it's not really about that in the real world. The real world is that people will connect to you. And so that's why referrals are best, and building your networks is really good. So anytime that you're feeling really stuck and don't know where to flow next, think about, who's the next person I can connect to. And then you trust. So everything that you put in place now will build in the future. So you don't always get that exchange happening straight away. It's more about, and they say, as a practitioner, that people will hear of your name or decide to come 7 times before they book in, or at least 3. Like, that's usually where, I've heard from you of this person and then this person. So the more that you're getting people know you, then the better that is for your business, really. And then you're gaining that confidence again of, like, stepping out and saying, this is who I am, this is what I do. So, I'm not going to necessarily go into, we'll see where things flow. So that's the best way I can say to build up your client base, is to form relationships with other practitioners, give them sessions. When I first moved into Foster, I gave as many practitioners as I could free sessions. So, and then you get people experiencing what it is that you do, and the reception staff all get free sessions with me. All the staff here get free sessions with me, ongoing, and for me, that's that's big, because when they say my name, they're saying it with real confidence, and they're saying it from pure experience. So lengths of sessions is the next question. It really depends on what therapy you do, but if you're a kinesiologist asking this, I tend to, most practitioners will book a longer session first to get to know you, to have that relaxation based off, okay, this is a real setup session. This is where we can chat and go down a few different tangents, and it's not a lot of pressure to get things done in that session. So most practitioners over all industries that you will see will have a longer first session and then a follow-up shorter session. So I do 1.5 hours, and then I do hour sessions from then on for the first. And again, as a practitioner, when you're coming out, things shift and change, right? So what works now isn't necessarily what's going to work in the future. And you change how you do things, and you become more experienced, and hands-on experience as a practitioner is so important. It's so important. So we come out and we have this scaffolding of all the things we should be doing. And then slowly, as you become more experienced, you take away that scaffolding and you start trusting that wisdom that has come from that education and experience, right? The two combine to create wisdom. So you've got this wisdom that you can base it off as well, and you can kind of control the sessions a little bit more because you know the patterns of what's going on. So I think my last count was around, it was past the 3,000 mark as far as different people I've worked with over the past decade or more. So, you get experience on what people's patterns are, what paths they're going down. You get more confident with what you do. So that's why I can feel confident, really confident, running an hour session now, or a shorter session, even a half an hour session sometimes for an adult. And when I first started, I was doing 1.5 hours every session for an adult. So it really just depends on how much you want to fluff or how steady you are in your fluffing at the moment. And most practitioners, again, will do that. So that's okay. And again, that's part of the yin of business, is trusting where you're at the moment, and just dealing with like working with that and trusting that it'll flow. And, not always trying to do things perfectly, just doing what feels right at the moment. And what feels right now might not even feel right in 6 months' time, but it feels right now. And we have to learn to trust this. Really, that's what we're doing all the time for our clients, is bringing them back into presence, and calming their nervous systems and helping them listen to their bodies. And so we need to start doing that for our businesses as well. How are we going with all of that? So the next question is about money. And this is a really, really lovely one. I was kind of tossing up whether to do a whole webinar on money, and this one felt right instead. But money is energy, right? So we start looking at it as far as energy is concerned. Okay, and again, there's a sense of realism in this, and a sense of, I always step back and I see who's charging what and why they're charging what they're charging. And there's a lot out there as terms of, charge what you're worth and all this kind of stuff. And I want you to be really clear in that this isn't coming from a space of limitation with me. This is coming from a space of working with the public, right? And having built a couple of very successful businesses before. You have to think about the other people. You have to think about the people that are paying you. And that's not a limiting belief system for me. That's a service-based, compassionate space. It's a space of realism. And I'm working in small country town, even in the Northern Beaches when I was working there. There's people who charge a lot of money and do really well with that. I am a different kind of practitioner, and I guess you have to change up there, like, okay, am I that kind of practitioner where people come once, twice, three times max, and then, so they're investing money into this certain thing that I'm doing for them. I'm different. I'm the kind of practitioner where I want you to book in anytime that you're struggling in life. It doesn't matter how small, how big, whatever. It's just that I'm here for you, and I will see people once a month for for years and years and years. So my pricing is with that, and I charge 150 for an hour and a half for an adult, 120 for an hour for an adult. And I'm family based. So I go down to 95 for a child, and I go to 55 for a half an hour session. And so I will always manipulate that if I have to for a family, or if they need it. And again, I'm not just one person. I'm not seeing one person in the family. I'm often seeing both kids, three kids, plus a parent, or and because my pricing, I let myself be flexible with my pricing there. So I've figured out in my practice, there's a pricing worksheet, I think, in the practitioner table on the website. I have a pricing worksheet there, so I know that I can go down to $75 an hour to break even on my hourly rate. So I go down to $75 for single mums and for people on the pension or disability pension. And that's, for me, that feels right. It flows for me. And again, I think I look around, and I'm actually, I'm still higher than some people in the area. And I'm lower than some, but again, the ones that I'm lower with, they will have Medicare attached to them, Medicare attached to them, or health funds. And so it's very different for a family to be able to afford that price, compared to my price. So for me, they're outlaying their cash. And there's no rebates associated with that. So I take that into account when I'm working with people as well. And I think that's really fair as a practitioner. You want to make yourself accessible for people, as well as not decreasing your value as well. I think I got to a point in my business where I wasn't worried about my value anymore. I could see my value. And so I didn't need to prove that with my price, if that makes sense. You don't need to prove your value with your price. You prove your value with the relationships that you have with your clients, and your communities. That's where your value comes from, not from your pricing. And if you've put all of your value into your money, then that's a bit of a messy thing to get switched up in. So for me, money is separate to my value and my worth. And I know that, again, is very different. But if we're talking about that yin side, so yin for me is this space of love and compassion and being there. Like, the yin holds everything. The yin is that creative energy, it's that nurturing energy, it's that big mother bosom that you curl up in when life really sucks. Like, for me, that's really what I love about being a practitioner, is that space of people, just feeling safe with me, to go through whatever they're going through at the time. So for me, that's where my work comes through, and that's where my business comes from, is that space of service. And you can see with my pricing that my service isn't devalued, but it's not the only thing that I value. And look, we do live in a profession where we can get really creative and earn money in lots of different ways, and so that's fun. Like that's exciting. Um, and at first, if you want to, connect with people just only in clinic, then there's such value in that. And I think we need to remember that is that not everyone wants a health coach. Not everyone wants a thriving six-figure online business. We came into this world, as practitioners, we've got called here to work with people on their journeys. And it's such a beautiful space, and yes, it can be challenging to get there. But it's so worth it when you do. Next question I have is, how do I find social media for attracting the right type of clients? This is a really good one when we're going into the yin of business, right? Because the yang of business is very much post every day, your email list, your Facebook group. You have to have all of this social media set up. And that's great if you're selling yourself online all around the world or to a huge group of people. And it's important, I think, to have your social media, because that's just, look at today, like I posted my thing and I've had all these people sign up and interested. So it's definitely worth it. It hasn't been my first driver though. So my relationships with people has been my first driver. So if you're feeling pressure and it's making you feel tense, then don't do it. You don't have to do it. Like this is my key point here, is that you don't have to do all the right processes, right? Because we're a different kind of industry. We're a really different type of industry. We work with people and humans, and it's not a bricks and mortar, and it's not a health coach business, and it's not a doTERRA salesman business. It's very different. And we have to remember that we have to be careful not to prey on people's vulnerabilities in order to just get clients. So if you're coming from a space of fear, you're going to you might be stepping into your ego when you're connecting with people on social media. So come back into yourself and come back into your heart space before you start posting away. And check that something really resonates with you before you start posting on social media. I found social media is great for when we're struggling as humans. One of the first things that we do is scroll on social media. That's just the world that we work in at the moment. It's like we're seeking something. So when something really resonates with me, I will post it. I don't have a schedule for myself. I don't have a newsletter schedule. I've always, when I've felt guided to share something, I'll share it. The other point of view I'll get, like I have seen a lot of politicism end up in our practitioner world, and it just doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't sit right. I feel like it's two very different things that we're working with, and ideas and politics and stuff. Again, if that really resonates with you, of course, like don't listen to what I'm saying. But I feel like our industry is getting a little bit political, and we're more than that as humans, and we can get very caught up in that, and it doesn't that's quite a yang energy rather than the yin, of being there and listening and helping people connect to themselves without extra judgment. We actually work in a quite a judgy industry. You have to do things in a granola way. um, and if you're not, then you're not right or something like that. It's really fucked. Just to be honest, if you're not thinking or feeling a certain thing, then in that political, or even belief system space, then you're not living true enough or something. Like it doesn't leave space for being human, and all the spectrum that comes with being human and what's right for people at certain times. We forget that life is a journey, and we figure stuff out as we go. We're not meant to know it all now. And that goes for your business as well. You're not meant to know it all now. You trust that it will grow into what it's going to grow into. um, we don't expect a toddler, sorry, a baby to be walking like a toddler. We wait until they get old enough to walk like a toddler because they're a toddler. So your business is exactly the same. What you're doing at the beginning of your business is going to be different, even a year down the track, 2 years down the track. People tend to rebrand their businesses after 2 years because you've stepped into it and you've grown into it more. So you have to let yourself grow into your business. That's the biggest advice I can give as far as that yin centeredness goes, is that work from where you're at and work from where you're being guided to at the moment, and work with your own life and experience and limitations, but also guidance now. And then when that shifts, then shift it. Your business can shift and change. That's okay. Your niche will shift and change. Your relationships with people will shift and change. Your clinic space will shift and change. What you learn and what you approach in clinic will shift and change. It's just the nature of nature, right? And we are part of that, and we're human, and your business is part of that too. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to have time, and it's okay for things to go up and down, and it's okay for you to have quiet weeks, and it's okay for you to have busy weeks. And the more that we try and control our businesses, the more fucked up we get. It's just, I'm sorry to swear, but it's true. Like, when you come from that space instead of, okay, what's my next step? What am I being guided to do next? Life gets a lot easier. And when I first moved to Foster, I was putting a lot of energy into doing talks and holding space and connecting with people, because that's where I was at the time. I was building up into a full-time business. So instead of seeing clients, I was talking to people. And I had to rely on my clinic in Sydney to pay for up here, and then it shifted after, I think it was 18 months of living here, which is usual when you move to a new place, 18 months to 2 years. And so now, well, it'll be 3 years in June that we're here. Now I don't really do a lot of that other stuff, or if I do, it's people pay for it because they know me now. I have a relationship with them. They trust me, and I don't have to advertise anymore. I've got a wait list. I've got a booking, and people are hearing. I get constant stories of people hearing. They go down to the beach, or they go down to they're at a kid's party, or they're somewhere with people, and people have mentioned my name, and then other people chime in and say, oh yeah, I've heard of Emma, blah blah blah. So as a practitioner, that's the highest compliment that you can get. And that's not because I've done anything particularly right in my business as such. It's just because I value my connection with my clients more than anything. And it doesn't mean necessarily that I fix them all, or I've done an amazing job in clinic. I've just listened and I've been there. And don't underestimate the power in that, because there's not actually a lot of spaces for people to be truly heard and respected and taken seriously for their own health. And that's, that's huge. That's huge for people. And so if you can run that space in your clinic, then all the techniques that you do aren't going to matter. It doesn't matter. We all of us, no matter what industry we're in, we all do the same thing essentially, right? Just in different ways. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which technique you're using. It just matters on how you are with a client. And if you're in your head and having this pressure of fixing them, it's not going to work. You have to let yourself be guided by curiosity and them and their intuition and your intuition, and having the two mix. So how are we going with all of that? Do you have any more questions there? The next part is like, how do we talk about what we do? And I guess that flows on to what I was just saying. It doesn't really matter what modality that you're in. You want to introduce yourself based off how you help people. So when I talk about kinesiology, I say I'm a natural therapist. And if they're still interested, then I keep going. So I'm a natural therapist, and I work with the body and the mind. And when you're stressed, it affects your body. So I try and help with the source of your stress, why you're stressed in the first place. And then I go on to talk about what is it that what is it that person in front of you kind of might have going on. Anxiety is always a good one to go off, or women's health, men's health, whatever you're working with, children's health. You start talking about that to the person, and you get, so, you're not selling yourself. You're not selling the kinesiology. You're talking about something that you love, and you're trying to find that moment of connection between you and another human being. And sometimes when we're stepping into that space of I have to prove myself in this moment, or if I have to help you understand in this moment, then you're coming from that real ego space, and you're putting this pressure on another person, and they don't really care. they're just kind of interested a little bit in what you do. And so, you've got to find that human connection in it. So with whatever you do, find that human connection, and you can go off on a completely different tangent about health and about wellness and humans and our struggles and our vulnerabilities. So, when someone say, what do you do? I work with humans. I love humans. I can talk about something that I'm interested in that moment. And then you've made a connection with somebody, and they don't really care what you do. They just care about how they feel when they're with you. And that's the biggest compliment I can get, is people have come to see me because someone said, go and see Emma. And they don't know who I am, what I do, but they've heard, go and see Emma. And that's another reason, I think, why we don't have to put a lot of pressure on ourselves to find a business name as such. Because why do we have business names? It makes no sense to me unless you're running an actual clinic, because people are coming to see you. they're not coming to see your business name, and it just makes things complicated when they're trying to find you. Anyway, that's my 2 cents with that. um, and I think again, this is the difference that comes from working in the industry and having been a practitioner, compared to what some of those business coaches are trying to sell us, right? And you have to be a bit more discerning with that. If we do online sessions, do we charge differently? To be really honest with you, I wasn't originally, and I, was just doing 120 online. And then I think as the whole economic status and people's, I was, the people that I was talking to online are struggling. So, and they're fine, they're the ones being affected by COVID and everything that's going on there. And so it felt right to start charging 95, or I haven't really changed it. I still advertise it as 120, but I'll charge 95. And it's always better to do that. I think it's nice for people, it's also nice for people to go, okay, I'm getting a nice discount here. It just helps that energy flow, I think. So, and then that leaves me with flexibility as well as to, I haven't officially changed my prices. I'll just give them a little discount. So see how that sits with you. It's not so much as terms of value or anything. It's more about, for me, it was more about the people that I was seeing and the positions that they were in financially. So it came from that point of view as far as charging less. My thoughts around the professional industry bodies like ATMS and AKA. Good question. I know that this is a question that's been going around a lot. I think we've lost a bit of credibility, haven't we, as natural therapists, in terms of this online world that we've gone into. There seems to be a lot of, I'm going to say, unethical stuff happening. But, I'm talking as a kinesiologist, but I know it's happening in other industries as well. And there's a lot of short courses for things going on, which, and then you can become a therapist in that thing. So I know that ATMS and look, the real world doesn't really know about our industry bodies. They don't, right? They don't really know to look for that necessarily. I am a member of ATMS, and to be honest, because each time I keep checking in, it feels right for me. It feels right to be associated with an industry body. We don't have to. It's not legal. Like, it's not a legal requirement for us. And now that we're not under healthcare, it doesn't matter. But as terms of, I guess, professionality, I think for me, it's more of a sense of, I don't know. It for me, it feels right to be associated with a professional body. I'm also, though, studying again, so it makes it really easy for me with my CPE points and stuff because I'm studying a degree. So, it just kind of depends on you and what you're feeling there and what you're getting out of it. So I've never been a part of the smaller industry bodies. I've only ever been a part of ATMS. It just never felt necessary. I'm going to just put that straight out there, and I'm really sorry. It never felt necessary for me to be part of the other ones, because there is so many different types of training, and kinesiology is a really broad spectrum, and there's a lot of different training as far as being a kinesiologist goes, and so it felt more settled for me to be part of a bigger industry body which had degree and diploma level essentials, I guess. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I think we're in a transition phase with our industry bodies, so I wouldn't cancel them out completely. That's kind of my gut feeling on it. Is it's a transition phase, so they might find their feet, they might not. I think they have to figure out what their purpose is now as well. Um, and again, that this is where we're at as natural therapists. We are in a transition mode, aren't we? So that's kind of the industry level thing. And again, that's quite your yang based decisions. In the end, it doesn't really matter if you're um, if you're running a really professional egoless practice. Very essential, because we know what I'm talking about when I say that you have an ego based practice. We all know those practitioners. If you're running an egoless practice, then that's going to speak for itself within your community, right? Um, I get really passionate about the different stepping away from that ego-based selling system, online selling space. That's all mixed up in the health coaches, business coach world. I think as practitioners, we need to decide which world we're going to step into. Are we going to step into that coaching world? Or are we going to step into the practitioner space and start comparing ourselves to the allied health field? So it's really a personal choice there on which one you feel settled in. But hopefully, if you can see yourself as a practitioner, a professional practitioner, and accept that space, and that's another point energetically as well, is accepting that space of service, and I am a practitioner. Energetically, there's a huge shift in accepting who you are as a practitioner, I accept that I'm a practitioner. Like, even when you say that to yourself, I accept that I am a practitioner and I'm of service to my community. It's like an aha moment. You're taking it professionally. You're taking that wisdom and that guidance, and that it will flow a lot easier. It's not I have to be a practitioner. It's like I accept that I am, and that's what I'm here to do. Um, and I know that we all feel that. We all feel that after because we've been called to study this thing. So the next question is a follow-up. So again, this is a really yin-based thing for me as well, because yeah, and you can work with God. Absolutely. Sorry, someone's just said I accept myself as a practitioner is a good goal balance. It's from a kinesiology perspective. Yeah, absolutely. And it just is, just take away, let all the other bullshit fall away, and that's just the truth of it. We are practitioners, and we are of service in our community, and our community needs us. The community needs practitioners who are here to be on this journey with them. And I guess, this is where the follow-up question comes as well. For me, it's a no-brainer. I want someone who's trusted me with their innermost vulnerabilities. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to push her out the door. I'm not going to expect that that's it for you from now on. I'm going to book you in 2 or 3 weeks until you're ready to let go. That's it. And you tell me when you're ready to let go. And until then, I'm just going to keep rebooking you, because you've trusted me and you're going to guide me. That's that yin space for me. I am here for you. And I feel like it's a huge disservice if we're expecting people to go into that vulnerable space with us, and then we say to them at the end of it, call me if you need me. Doesn't feel right to me to say that. It doesn't feel ethical to say that at all. Name one other practitioner-based health service that will do that. You always book a follow-up session. That's what's expected when you go to the dentist. It's expected when you go to the doctor. It's expected when you go to your psychologist. And every professional knows that this is not a one session based thing. If you're going to follow up with a phone call and all that kind of stuff, you're really putting yourself in a hard position, and it's awkward for the client. If you've been a practitioner, well, you might know that feeling of, when they see you in the street, they half want to hug you and half want to run away. Like, they don't know what to do. And it's the same if you give them a call or something like that. If I'm really thinking of them, if they're popping in my mind again, that's an energetic flow thing for me. So I'll reach out and I'll send them an email and I'll say, hey, I'm just thinking of you. How are you doing? But putting that pressure on yourself to follow up, that's really what the follow-up session is for. And what they do in that moment is they go away, they integrate, and then they come up with more questions, or they fail at things, or they succeed at things, and then you give them a high five. It's like, yeah, we're doing life together now, right? I'm here. You're here. I'm here. Let's do this. And I'm one stepping stone out of 50 stepping stones that you have at any given time. So you're not the one and only for them, and you will never be the one and only for them. And that's a really good thing, but you are there for what they need from you. So if you close your eyes and you take a breath and you let everything settle, and you see the humans of the world and the humans in your community, and you look at their heart spaces, you'll see what you're being called for in that moment. And this is a really nice question to follow up with is, did I know who I wanted to work with, or did it happen organically? When I first came out of college, the principal asked me to work with him with kids, and I called my mum and I said, he's asked me to work with him and kids, and she laughed. And she said, you and kids, what do you know? That's not you. So yeah, it happens organically. They come to you. And I, at the time, was in a really yang space, and I wanted to work with neurological disorders and things like that. But children chose me. They definitely chose me. Everything chose me. And that's why I'm not a huge fan as well of figuring out your niche or figuring out what you want to work with, because, oh God, that's such hard work, right? We work with everything, but the niche will find you. Just trust it. Don't put yourself in a niche to begin with, or do it, but make it flexible. Autoimmune found me as well. I had no idea about autoimmune, but getting clients with autoimmune issues in. And then as far as, working with your marketing and stuff, I think finding what flows naturally when you talk to a human being is probably the best way to market yourself. How do I talk to people? What do I like to talk about? And then talk about that. And then that's going to be so easy for you to then resonate with and and flow with. And so one week it might be children, one week it might be adults, one week it might be sleep. You're kind of flowing then with what the collective energy is and your energy is, and what that resonating connection is, rather than deciding from that space, okay, this is what I work with. And there are going to be times in your clinic which different things flow. So like, I stepped out of that clinic with the principal, and then I started my own clinic, and my first client happened to be a child. And then I saw his sister, who was another child, and then I saw the adults as well in the family. And so my flyer at the front actually says family kinesiologist. And that's kind of how I describe myself. But yeah, I think your niche finds you, what you resonate with finds you. And there'll be moments where I get a huge wave of autoimmune illnesses come through the door, and then other times it's more anxiety based. But because I haven't boxed myself in, and I talk about humans and whatever I'm interested in or connecting with at the time, and whatever's channeling for me, then it makes it easy to flow with that in clinic. Again, you're a practitioner, and some GPs are known more for one thing than the other, but they don't specialize. Psychologists, some of them have specialties, but most of the time they kind of have a specialty that they work with, but then they're open to everything as well. So, it's up to really you and what you connect with. If you want to work only with a specific thing and you're being guided to do then do that. But if you are are more just for people and for humans, then that's amazing. Like, go with that. Well, I've been nearly talking for an hour, guys. Do you have any more questions? Is there more that you would like me to connect to as far as the yin of business goes? Basically what I'm saying when I say the yin of business is that it's you've been guided to be here. And so trust that guidance and work with that guidance. And, take this work really professionally, and take your work as service, and, just ignore all the shoulds. Just ignore what, these people are selling themselves, right? They have to sell themselves. And so, all the systems that they've had to put in place and they think is going to work, in real life practice, it's all about how you connect with people. And so connect from that heart space, connect from that authentic place, and go from there. You don't have to be everything, and you don't have to push certain ideas into people's heads. It's allowing people to be vulnerable with you, and that's really our purpose as practitioners, no matter what industry you're in. As natural therapists, as practitioners, we're there to hold space for those vulnerable conversations. And so that's ultimately what it's all about with people, is that, can they trust you? Can they trust you not to judge them? Can they trust you to hold them? Can they trust you to figure out this life journey with them? All right. Thank you, guys. I will talk to you later. And on a side note, I do have the the Getting Serious About Clinic talk course coming up. You can check that out. But again, that's very much, I've centered that around your, what you want to do with that, and your own flow with that. But yeah, you can check that out on all the practitioner table. I think I've also got it on my kinesiology page as well. But thank you guys. Mwah.